I lost 25-ish pounds since January. It's hard to really say exactly how much weight I've lost since I had my babies, because weight fluctuates so much from the moment you come home from the hospital to the time that you start to intentionally lose weight. Let's just say 25 pounds since I've been intentionally trying to lose weight. In that first, I would say 15 to 18 pounds was really from 4 super simple, it feels like it shouldn't work steps that I felt like sharing. I didn't actually have to start being really locked in on calorie deficit or certain types of cardio, or those little tweaks that you kind of have to make when you're really down to those last few pounds, until a couple months ago. But from January probably until about April, these were the simple things that I was really just focusing on that helped me go from being 25 pounds heavier to being only 8 to 9 pounds heavier. And they're gonna sound really simple, like it wouldn't work. I think these steps, or this way, is the best for a postpartum mom or women with really small kids, because they're almost things that you can do subconsciously, or it doesn't really require any kind of tracking or meal planning. It's just really simple. Everybody's been talking about it, but it's because it's real. When I started to just focus on my steps, I think that was the thing that made probably the biggest difference, because it's so low intensity on your body that it doesn't trigger you to eat more. It doesn't trigger your hunger or anything like a high intensity workout would, or like going on a run would. Just trying to be mindful about how many steps you're taking every day could be the one game changer for losing weight postpartum. If you're doing high intensity interval workouts, or if you're going on runs, well, yeah, those are really efficient ways to burn calories. When you're done, you're often left feeling like you need a lot more to eat. And I'm not a nutritionist, but this is just from personal experience. And so when you're walking more and you're just increasing your steps, you're burning calories, but your body isn't really necessarily registering that as exercise or intensity, and you're keeping your heart rate really low while maintaining a really low heart rate. I just started to focus on increasing my steps. I know 10K steps is really kind of just a marketing tactic, kind of is a good place to start, but I actually even have found myself through just habit, I start to hit anywhere from 12 to 15,000 steps, because I walk my dog in the morning and I go on runs every once in a while. But really base level, I try to hit minimum 10,000, which when you start to implement certain habits into your life, it starts to get easier and easier to hit those steps. And you're kind of amazed at how few steps that you started off at walking. I think it is really hard if you live in a colder climate. I live in Michigan, so it is kind of harder to get those steps in. So one thing that I would do is, if I was going to scroll Instagram, I literally would just pace my house. I would do walking workouts on YouTube. Those were fun because my toddler found those to be enjoyable. I would do Danny Go videos with my toddler. Those would get more steps in. If I was unloading the dishwasher, I would try to, instead of grabbing 5 or 6 cups all at once, I would just take 1 cup at a time, back and forth. And yes, it takes extra time, but I'm incorporating a few extra steps. I am incorporating extra steps throughout the day. Step count is huge. Now, the second thing that I did is very specific to moms with toddlers, because this is my second baby, so I was having to take care of a toddler while also taking care of a newborn. Stopped eating my toddler's crappy leftovers. Even just eating 1 chicken nugget or 2 bites of the last of my toddler's mac and cheese, or my toddler's peanut butter and jelly sandwich that was only half eaten. And I think in my head, that doesn't feel like calories to me. It is calories, and it has an effect. All calories that you eat count towards your, the calories that your body uses every day. And obviously, we need plenty of calories. Just mindlessly eating what my toddler doesn't want to finish was not serving my weight loss goals. If you up your step count and stop eating your toddler's leftovers, I think that could be enough to just lose the extra weight. While no, you may not lose the weight as quickly as you would if you were sticking to like the super hardcore calorie deficit program and doing fasted cardio, I think the weight loss is going to be a lot more sustainable in the long run. I've almost completely stopped drinking alcohol. This is kind of a new setup. Where were we? Cutting out alcohol. I was never a big drinker. Consumed alcohol on a regular basis. While I really didn't make the connection, and this is going to sound really, really dumb, but I didn't really make the connection that alcohol equals... I knew alcohol had calories, but for some reason in my head, I just didn't really connect that to my weight gain. As like a challenge, I stopped drinking completely. When I realized like I was starting to lose weight, I made the connection of, I'm not drinking alcohol anymore. And instead of drinking alcohol, I'm having like a Poppy or a sparkling water or a Diet Coke that honestly really serve that desire for something to drink. And I was losing weight almost unintentionally because I wasn't drinking at all. We'd buy a 6-pack on a Friday night, and maybe I would have 2 that night for dinner, and then like maybe 1 for like with a sandwich and lunch the next day on Saturday. That could be like an extra 600 calories in a weekend. And all those little calories, the calories that you burn from walking, and then the calories that you are not consuming just from eating snacks that your kid decided they didn't want throughout the day, the extra calories from alcohol, that can add up to, even up to like a couple thousand calories in a week. These are small enough things that I think if anybody really implemented them, I'm not saying it's easy, but just increasing your steps, even just doubling them. So say you're getting an average of 4,000 steps a day, just increase that to 8,000 and see what happens. And the fourth thing, I started to be more intentional with my meals. And what that means is very similarly to the not just mindlessly snacking on your toddler's leftovers, is instead of intuitive eating, which is really popular right now, eating with intention. I'm going to try to be intentional about the amount of protein I get every day. And that was something that really helped me lose weight. And I'm going to be having a purpose for everything that you eat. And, food is fuel. It can also be enjoyment, and it can also be both at the same time. But sometimes food doesn't always have to be the best thing that you've ever eaten. Sometimes, for me, a lunch is just lunch meat and some cheese and some celery, or and a piece of bread or something. Like, I don't have to have like this perfect meal every time, but my intention for that meal is to get some protein and some fiber. And then sometimes my intentions for a meal is to be able to enjoy it with people that I love, and my intention is not to focus on the caloric content, but really just to enjoy the taste of it. I would have a day where, I'm really stressed out because the girls are freaking out, and I have a baby that's teething and a toddler that's in the middle of potty training, and I'm stressed out, and I go into the kitchen and I'm about to just gulp down a gulp of peanut butter. I take a step and be like, okay, am I eating this because I need nutrients? And sometimes I do. Sometimes I do need nutrients, or am I eating this because I'm trying to cope from a feeling that I'm having right now that is I'm really stressed out, and what I probably should do is just sit down and take a breath and realize that I need to just focus on taking care of the kids right now, as opposed to trying to take care of the kids on top of making dinner and cleaning the bathrooms and all of these things. Am I eating this scoop of peanut butter because it's giving me a feeling of a way out from these feelings? Or am I eating it because I actually really do need to be nourished? Sometimes I do need to be nourished and I do need to eat, but most of the times when I would go into those moments, it was not because I needed that nutrients. I needed a coping mechanism, and trying to switch up the coping mechanisms that didn't involve scarfing down half a day's worth of calories in 3 minutes. I did go into a stage where I was in like an intentional cut, and I can go more into my fitness journey and really like my workout split and how I handle that with having kids and being a stay-at-home mom. But I just wanted something that was like a little bit more tangible today, which is just a few easy tips, maybe not easy, but tips or advice if you're trying to step into that baby weight loss and don't really know what to start. These are just some really simple ways you can implement losing a little bit of weight if that's what your goal is. So I'll see you in the next chit chat.